These are the plans that show and describe and begin to make real the house that we're going to build on this lot. It's taken a long time to get to this point, and I have 3 different iterations. I have in my left hand the plans that I drew in my basement on my drafting table, working over the thoughts that Nathan and I had been figuring out about what size house do we want to build and how should it be located and how do we capitalize on the assets of this lot and what can we afford and what can we sell. So anytime you are approaching designing and drawing and building anything of any size, one of your options is to go to an architect. The last thing I would do is discourage you from going to an architect. They are a generalist. That is, they have a wide sort of grasp of construction opportunities and problems, from codes and setbacks and interface with utilities, right up through interior design, usually of colors and textures and latest finishes, and they are a very highly trained and very usually artistic resource. And brother, are they expensive. There's a reason that it's always architects that are involved with big jobs, because big jobs have big budgets, and so that really significant professional piece is a relatively smaller piece of the overall effort than it would be on a house like mine, or maybe like yours. So in my opinion and in my experience, a good middle ground is to go to a draftsman. Now in the last 25 years as a general contractor, I've never used a draftsman. I've always either done my own drawing, my own drafting, in conjunction with an engineer, or the plans have been provided for me and I've worked off of the work that other people have done, other draftsmen, other architects, sometimes other homeowners. In this case, a draftsman was absolutely necessary. A draftsman is a person who translates ideas into plans. And there were some ideas on here that I needed some help with in order to be able to develop a really complete set of plans, which was important for the channel and for the actual process. Draftsmen do understand codes and construction methods and connections and sequence and the different drawings that the different trades need. And they're expert, and they can manipulate either old school pencil and straight edge. Rarely. There is the odd dinosaur who does that. But really consistently, and in fact virtually in all cases now, they use AutoCAD or a digital design program to manipulate the lines. But here's a mistake people make. People think just because it's done with the computer that the computer does the thinking. Not so. The computer does the drawing, and the draftsman still has to do the thinking. Now draftsmen, like every other craft, have a wide range of skills and specialties and strengths and weaknesses. Manipulating the computer program is work. I mean, it's just work. Thinking the thought, coming up with a design, and a design that's beautiful, is the art. And so draftsmen range from just workmen to more predominantly artists, and architects are often thought of primarily as artists. Gary Fadness is the owner of Buglin Heights Drafting and Design. You're going to see that not only can he do the work of drafting, but he can think the design thoughts that make that work the right thing.
Working with a professional draftsman is really fun. First of all, you start to see a real set of plans emerge from your concept. That's fun. It becomes serious and believable, and it begins to feel like something that might actually happen. Number 2, you're getting a lot of feedback, and you're recognizing which of your ideas were good and which of your ideas were less than good.
You're going to need the minimum 44 inches off the ground. And so by the time you get up 44, do we have 22 inches and still enough wall there for shear? I don't know.
So maybe not.
On an 8 and 12 roof pitch, on just this stair section alone, we were going to have to raise the roof
just to accommodate the stair.
Just to accommodate the stair. Mm-hmm. So rather than do that and screw up everything, I went with a steeper pitch, and it actually turned out looking good.
It does look good. It looks really good.
Oh, you did it.
Yep. You did that, Nate.
Yep.
It was so small on our prints we couldn't read it. We just printed it off the...
Yeah, and then left 3-foot walls on each side, which is plenty for shear.
Awesome.
Yeah.
When you're done with this process, you have a lot more confidence about the project overall, because you've listened to the ideas of someone who is in a position to know. You've listened to the ideas of a person who has already seen or stopped other people from making similar mistakes. Their insight matters a lot. In fact, a lot more than the insight of your buddies at work or your father-in-law or someone who may or may not have your best interests at heart. but is really getting a kick out of criticizing your ideas, this is a chance where you can listen carefully and take at nearly face value the input of someone who has no reason to do you anything but good.
I'm going to walk you through this, but I got to point this out. You're going to notice there are almost no dimensions on these plans, and that's because these are still preliminary and not for construction. So watch for that when you pick up a set of plans that you're thinking of bidding a job. If they're preliminary, they're not a construction document. We're going to start in through the garage. Right off the bat, it's an 18-foot wide door. A 16-foot wide double door is just too small to get two cars in if one of them's a full-size automobile. So there's room for an 18-foot door, and that leaves about 3-foot returns at the end for shear panel, for bracing. You've got to have at least 32 inches to provide the resistance to overturning in the end of that structure that it's got to have, and I'm sure there'll be some fairly serious hold downs, HD5s or something. So coming in through the garage, you run into a feature that we had to work at a little bit to include in a house this size, because you don't often see in a house this size 2 stairways. This is going to be really nice for livability, so you can access the upstairs without going through the downstairs. Bedrooms upstairs, living area downstairs, 2 separate destinations a lot of the time. But you come in through a little mudroom, swing the door open into the kitchen. You got a little pantry, not big, but behind this door is a pantry. There'll be a closet space under here that can be used for the same thing. And the kitchen's pretty good. I mean, it's fairly basic, but it's pretty good. There'll be a nice big island, probably a little bigger than this. Probably come over here just a little bit. Probably come over here about 4 more inches. Who knows how that'll end up. If you park in the driveway, or guests park, they will walk in on a sidewalk that's covered by the overhang right here. 1 step up onto the porch, come down the porch to the front door. You'll step into a foyer that is open all the way up. That'll probably be about 17, 18 feet up right there, which is a ways, but not extreme. There'll be a hand-forged wrought iron railing here of some kind that'll come up about half the distance, and then you'll have the choice of turning right into the dining area, formal dining. Perhaps we'll coffer a ceiling in here, we'll see. Or come straight down the hall with a hall closet, guest closet, entry closet right here. Come by a little half bath. The door could hand the other way. We'll wait and see how that works. It's a pedestal sink and a toilet, very basic, but kind of shielded from the eating area. And one thing I don't like is a door opening into a bathroom off of an eating area. You can come on into the kitchen, the nook, or you can turn to the left, finish across the foyer into the living room, which is dominated by views. Big windows, boom, boom, boom. So it capitalizes on the view. It gives French doors out the back into a covered living area, which is important in Oregon. Another thing I want to point out is that he's got the hallways ample. This is 3.5 feet. This is 4 feet. I'm going to use some of that. This stairway is 3.5 feet, plus the visual distance of having an open banister. So you're not going to feel constrained or restricted as you move through this house. So you're coming up the stairs. You turn around, you got a loft, you got views, you got space, you got sitting room. Turn into the master bedroom suite. We had to get the views capitalized on, which we have done. Got some work to do on that window yet. Nice walk-in closet, certainly ample. Turn into the bathroom. We had to make a choice here, and so we opted to not have a big tub, but rather have a big shower, walk-in, double shower, gotta love those. Water closet, lavs. Back out into the hall, heading down the hall, the bathroom that services the other bedrooms. Nice little privacy break right here, recommended. Linen closet, good. I'll just point out, this thing's almost 16 by 13. That's a nice sized bedroom. This is 12 by 13. That's certainly adequate. Here's the end of really the throwaway space. That's not a lot in this upstairs. And we come into a bonus room. Washer and dryers out here, where the clothes are generated. Bonus room for games or weightlifting, or turn it into a home theater. Window out the end. No view there except for trees, but heck, trees are nice. And then we're back to the head of the stairs that take you down to the garage. So this ended up being a bigger house than we had originally intended to build. That was driven by several things, which I think we've already talked about, but the bottom line was this: we had to utilize the lot appropriately, we had to comply with the requirements of the CC&Rs, and we had to build something that we thought we could sell in order to justify the whole effort. So what we have here is 2,915 square feet heated and cooled. That's not the same thing as the number of square feet under roof. There's an additional, 500 square feet roughly in outdoor living space covered in the porches and in the back patio, and it's a big garage. I don't even know off the top of my head how big the garage is, but it's big. It has been exhilarating to start putting this together with the intention of taking it to the whole world. So please comment on what you might like to see emerge from the videos that we make about this house. If you have comments about, like right now, about possible tweaks or adjustments, you better hurry or you're not going to get a chance. And in fact, by the time you see this, probably that window will have been closed. So I'm learning a lot of things on this project too. And one of the things I've just learned is that Gary Fadness is a pleasure to work with. First time out of the chute, he came back having fleshed out some of the things that I had only implied in my drawings. And that is part of working with the draftsman, is after they initially sort of begin to consolidate your ideas, there are going to be questions that would have never occurred to you if they hadn't done that initial rendering. And most of the questions and clarifications and tweaks that we made to get to this only occurred to us because of the work he had done following up on our initial sketch. So one of the things about a draftsman also is that he is not restricted by state lines. He's not restricted by geography. If you can contact him through a telephone or a fax machine or a computer, you can work with him, and based on my experience with him this far, I highly recommend that you do. So there is no accounting for taste, and this may not suit your taste. You may not like this, but you know what? We like it. And I'm the guy that's got to build it, so that's certainly one justification for this. But the big reason that the house has evolved like this is because this house gives the widest possible opportunity to show the different aspects of residential construction. This gives a lot of ways for me to show you some of the things that I've learned in the last 40 years and introduce you to a lot of the people that I work with here in Southern Oregon, and to provide a pretty comprehensive overview of what you might run into if you decide to build something like this. So if you do like these plans, you'll be able to see them on our website. You'll be able to kind of scan through them and see if there's something there that might appeal to you or someone else you know. And for years to come, if I survive this, you're going to be able to see exactly how this thing went from this point to three-dimensional, ready to move in.
Oh, one thing I did do when we did the stairs, this wall used to be flush all the way down.
Oh, I see.
Bumped it out because the way the stair worked out, it left 2 treads or something, maybe a tread and a half sticking out.
Oh, I see.
So
Sweet.
I slid it out, which gave us more room in this bedroom, but this bedroom was so big anyway, it didn't matter.
Yeah, we picked up all this now with that big dormer. This is a huge plus. This is a huge plus. You see these drawings? I found these, probably a month ago. I was going through a box of old plans. And this is, I think it was one of the working drawings of the last house that I built for myself. The last house I built for myself, for my family. It was the last house that I built when we lived in Las Vegas, and it was a spec house. I built it. It turned out to be a spec house. I started it thinking I was going to live the rest of my life in Las Vegas. And by 3 months into it, my worldview had shifted to where I knew it was time to go back to Oregon. But in any case, we built this house. And what I just described to you is exactly the process that I used here. I had a plan. I had a floor plan. I had the size of the lot, and I took it to a draftsman. And he put this together. And we built the house. And it was great. And Nathan and I lived in it for 10 days. And then we came to Oregon. And 2 months later, the rest of the family, there it is, there's the elevation. And then a couple months later, the house sold and the rest of the family came up here and joined us. I am doing it this way because I have done it this way before and had success. As with everything else, you've got to have a realistic assessment of your limitations. If you can do it like this, do it like this. If you can't, buy a set online. If you can afford it and you want something that is yours and yours alone, talk to an architect. And then you talk to an engineer. And when you're done, you're going to have something that you're going to be pleased with, proud of, and happy to have created for a long, long time.